All right, so I've done a previous video on TMT Pascal, and I basically checked over the example programs and just ran everything, including the editor, and it comes with a Windows editor, even though it compiles to DOS 32-bit. So this is the Windows editor. It's not very good. I don't use it, but for those that uh, want to try it out, it is there. You have to run it as administrator, otherwise you're going to get a registry error. But it's in the exe folder of the TMT compiler. Let me just go through that. So if we check into, let me bring this into view. And go into TMT. There we go, TMT 390. And if we check the binary folder, you're going to see a few things. And one of them is IDE W32. So that's this editor right here. Let me just close it down. If we double click on it, oh, it actually worked this time without the registry error. So you might not need that on your computer. So, but if it does give you a registry error, which it did initially on mine, just right click and run as administrator. There's a few other interesting things here. It also comes with a binary to object 32. This is very similar to Turbo Pascal RtBinObj program, but this allows you to create object files greater than 64K. Um, but it only works in DOS, so it's a DOS 32-bit, so no Windows, no Windows GUI. Uh, but I've gone along and basically reverse engineered the format. It's very similar to Turbo Pascal, except there's a slight change. Uh, and if you use my tool, you get a Windows program basically, GUI, and you have the option here to convert it to a TMT object file. This is on my GitHub. I'll put a link, but it's there. And so that's the first few things. But I've also been playing around with the graph library, and this is where it gets a little more interesting. So normally in Turbo Pascal and BGI, you'd have a init graph, and you specify what kind of adapter and mode. This doesn't take that. It basically allows you to set the graphics mode by specifying which mode you want. And right here, it's mode 13, actually hex 13. And let me just run this simple program and so you can see the output. So I have TMT binary folder in my path and the command line for the compiler. Let me just run it without anything. And so you get all this information. It says unregistered version. I'm not sure if you can even buy this if you wanted to. Their website is still up. I'm not sure what even the cost is, but it seems this unregistered version, as long as you use it as a hobby or non-commercial purposes, it seems to be fine. Creates executables without any kind of nag screen or basically any kind of notice that it was compiled in TMT Pascal. But let me just compile this. So very similar to Turbo Pascal command line compiler. So no errors, and let's just check out the exes, and there's a few there, but the one we want is the test grf, and it's almost 60K. So let's just run it, and it's very simple. It draws a couple of images. Now these two images, one is drawn with the put image and one with the put sprite commands. So that's one of the differences in TMT Pascal. It has a put image and a put sprite. So the put image works exactly the same way as the Turbo Pascal put image. The put sprite, which doesn't exist in Turbo Pascal's BGI library, uh, it takes the XY coordinates for the first two sets of numbers, and then the X2, Y2 coordinates. Initially, I thought you might be able to put your own and stretch out the sprite. Uh, but it seems I wasn't right. That's not how it works. So you basically need to put the um, the x2 coordinates correctly. Otherwise, you're going to get a mismatch of like the image. And I could demonstrate that by just let's suppose instead of minusing 1 from the width, we leave it as is. And if I go to the command line again, I'll recompile this and we can see what happens. And there we go. So if you don't specify the proper x1, x1, y1, x2, y2 coordinates, your image is going to look bad. The other thing is that you can't use the same image array. Let's say you put all your data into an array. Usually with the Turbo Pascal, the first two sets of numbers, the first 2 bytes are the width, and the second 2 bytes are the height. And they're the same in TMT Pascal, but with put sprite, it doesn't accept that. So in order to use the same array, we have to specify index here for, index of 4 as the starting address. And so that allows everything to work. So let me just put this back the way it was. Now, the other interesting thing is that this set transparent mode. And if we set it to true and specify index 0 as the color, we can see that anything that is drawn with color 0 will be transparent from this point on. So let me just run the same program again. And so both the put image and put sprite, no more black background color. Now you can do the same thing with any color. We can do that with yellow, which is, so I have all these bars of colors, and this is the default colors all the way up to 16 colors. So 15 is white, 14 is yellow. So if we come back here and change this 0 to 14, it should make yellow transparent. So let's see that. And recompile again. And there we go. So the black remains now. It's no longer transparent, but the yellow that was solid before is now transparent. And so I don't know if this is if the put sprite is much faster. I haven't tested the speed, but it might be. Otherwise, I don't see a reason to put a second command in that does almost exactly the same thing. So in my future testing, I'll test the put sprite if it's any faster. But so far, these are my little discoveries, and this video is sort of a way of documenting, even for me, in case I forget what I did. So it's better than keeping notes and everything. So it's just my little way of keeping track of all the things I found out. There's not much in the documentation of how put sprite works. Basically, it was just a lot of guesswork on my part. So, and the other thing I've done is if you're using my Sprite editor here, it's fully supported in that. So there is, if you go to the export, here it is here, you could create a put image array or put image file. And also if we go into the properties of the image, it's also here as well. And you can again select the various options it supports. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.